joined by Ollie Kearns here in Firecastle, of course in Kildare town. And Ollie, you've been involved with the Derby Festival Committee since its infancy back in the late 70s. You're now president, of course, of the Derby Festival Committee as well.
Yeah, 1978 was the first festival. I was in the background there doing a few things in the pubs and working in some of the pubs. But it was later on that we started having open air concerts. I was involved in setting up stages and putting the electric on the stage for the concerts.
Because of course you're an electrician, that's right.
Yeah. So it was, then I got involved in the committee later on. I was vice chair to Sean O'Farrell, who is Karen Corlin now at the moment. So maybe that's my next job. But anyway, I took over from him in 2001 and was chairperson. Hands-on chairperson, still kept doing the same things as I was doing from the start. The electric work, but organising parades, organising Festival Queen, organising the concerts in the square. And it gave us an opportunity to go racing as well. Great affinity with the Core race course. I had a great interest in the Derby, of course, and I can go back to remember the 50s. Going with my father when I was 7 or 8 years of age, so it goes back and it stuck in me the atmosphere of the Derby, especially, and a lot of people won't remember the outside. The outside was the free area.
The old Budweiser Green.
It was even different than the Budweiser Green. It had tents alright for catering, it had all the tic-tac men for the bookies, it had the big boarding with the jockeys' names on it and numbers in the draw. That was all over that side. And you also had like thousands of people used to go that side. We like much as like looking at Epsom Derby. You see.
Ollie, going back to the early days, the derbies from the 50s and 60s. Tell us a couple of the winners that you witnessed and some of the great winners that you witnessed in the 50s and 60s.
The earliest one was Ballymoss, 1957, but 1962 sticks out because that was the first time I rode a bike up to the Curragh and backed the winner, which was Tambourine the Second.
You'll always remember backing on it.
Yeah, I backed it from my mother, and the funny thing about it, I wasn't sure of how to collect the money off the book at that time, which was 2 shillings at 8 to 1. Arctic Storm was second. A lot of people thought Arctic Storm had won, and I thought Arctic Storm had won first. And I was on the way home, and I was told that I'd have to ride the bike back around to collect the money. It was Tambourine won it. Prendergast. The Prendergast had a good affinity for where we lived, Suntavillas. A lot of his younger jockeys came to stay at Suntavillas. Christy Roach, A.C. McGarrity, Charlie McGarrity, and he had other jockeys seemed to stay in Suntavillas or something in their first lodgings. Christy Roach had a brother, Chesty they called it.
Chesty, yeah.
Chesty. They all stayed next door to me. Christy was a great friend of mine, and then Prendergast, we always watched out for the Prendergast horses, and that was Ragusa, and then he won again in '65 with Meadowcourt.
Big Crosby.
Crosby was at that. I seen him from a distance, all right.
Really? Yeah.
There was a great entourage when they came back into the parade ring. He was there with the cap. That's a very famous man that time.
Well, he was a superstar status, wasn't he?
Right, yeah.
And that must have brought even a bigger crowd to the Derby to see Bing Crosby, Meadowcourt, one of the favourites. He was coming as well.
That's right.
And he was a superstar.
Superstar, that's right. You're saying something there now that I had an argument about, was Derby. Now, when the Derby was introduced first, I'm saying Derby. When the Derby came on first in 1870, it was called the Derby Stakes. Then they changed it to the Kildare Derby. And we always knew it as the Derby. But in recent years, commentators are calling it the Derby. Do you know where that came from?
No, not a clue.
You call it the Derby. But I think it was English. That was an English thing, Derby.
Okay.
And suddenly we're all saying it. No, I'm still sticking to Derby. But we always had the Derby Festival. And we never called it anything else other than Derby. But Derby reminds me of a lad who played football, related people in town, Derby, that scored a goal against Kerry, stopped them winning 5 in a row in 1982. But that's another.
Tony Derby?
It was Seamus Derby.
Seamus Derby, sorry, Seamus Derby.
Scored a goal. So he was spelled D-R-B-Y,
Yeah.
and we called Derby D-R-B-Y. So anyway, I caused a bit of controversy again by saying that.
And Ollie, Kildare Town is, and the Curragh is, they're totally intertwined. As you say, growing up, some of the jockeys who worked in the Prendergast and Darkies and that later Kevin's Day were lodging in some of the villas. We used to see lads lodging in Campion Crest and all the older estates, Roanville as well. And even if you're not involved in the racing industry, you have an affinity and an interest in the racing industry by living in Kildare.
Oh yeah, and like in 1962, when the sweeps took over, changed Kildare completely. What we've seen was bumper-to-bumper cars going through town for the first time ever.
Really?
You'd see that going down the street here, Railway Street, at the turning right at the old hotel that was there that burned down since.
The Mondello, no?
Mondello is called the Railway Hotel.
Apache Pizza now.
That's
for
right,
the younger generation. Glenn Ryan, one of the local legends in these parts, was only telling me that he met his wife. She was a Rose of Kildare.
That's right,
yes,
she was,
or a Derby Festival entry.
Queen. That's right there, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it was. Probably he was at his peak playing football in the early 90s and then got to an All-Ireland final in 1998. A hell of a superstar playing football. Still training local team.
Yes, indeed, down Towers, yeah. And Ollie, how did the idea about forming a Derby Festival committee come about? Who came up with the idea?
It came from, that's a good one. I'll tell you who came up with it. A girl called Ruth Darcy, who was an aunt of Ray, that's on the radio.
Okay, yeah. Another Kildare Town man, Ray Darcy, of course, yeah.
So she was at a meeting, it was a Kildare council meeting, and she said, look, there's loads of cars coming through town for the Derby. This was after the 62 and this was 16 years after. I said, why don't we celebrate the Derby in this town, the nearest town to the racecourse? And if any other town like it in Ireland was that close to it, they'd be doing it. So they got the idea that to bring the local talents together in every way, in sporting talents, singing and organising talents. So it was low key first year. A small stage over in the square here near the Market House.
Yeah.
And they had a few locals playing music and singing on it, and that finished off about 10 o'clock at night, and people were coming out of the pubs closed at 10 that time.
Okay.
And they said maybe next year they'll start it a bit later, and the pubs got an extension. Pubs stayed up until 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. When I started going, it was I remember the parade when we were kids. Mum and Dad would bring us to the parade. It used to be on the Sunday afternoon, wasn't it?
Sunday, yeah.
You had all the different floats.
It opened the festival,
yeah.
That was good. Hopefully that will come back again. We haven't had that for a few years, but it was looked forward to by lots of kids, the dancers, the school kids, the footballers, a place to show themselves off. And once a year, and we nearly always got a fine weather for it. Once or twice we didn't, but still didn't stop things happening. But it led to lots of people being around the town and good for the commerce of the day as well. And lots of things happened after the parade, like maybe an outdoor concert late that night. So it was a long day for organisers.
Ollie, I must admit, the last Derby Festival we had pre-COVID, it was the Paddy Power Jockey's lip sync, and what a wonderful success that was. The whole town, it was like Derby night of years gone by. We were lucky we had a wonderful night, weather-wise, but everybody was out. There was such a buzz and an atmosphere around the town. It was wonderful to see.
But there wasn't much room for more people. When you got on the stage and you seen the head, there was no space left in the square. It was the first time we had lipstick. It was all new. So the way the festival is going now, there'll be new things happening. Hopefully when the COVID is gone, things like that will happen again. The square has been open in the last year because of the COVID, and people find it fantastic. Sitting out, it's like something you see out farm, and probably one of the special towns in Ireland now that you can sit around, you can see it there yourself, have a cup of coffee, have a drink. Hopefully that expands if we have good weather during the summer.
And it's wonderful, isn't it? Because there's since they pedestrianised the square, it's given a real life to the town, hasn't it? There's a great buzz and a great atmosphere. It's been a huge success.
Huge success. Like for a year, we were all confined to home, or we couldn't go many places. I know you can go and meet people.
And Ollie, you've been involved, as we say, from word go with the Derby Festival Committee. It's probably an unfair question, but is there one standout festival, one highlight for you out of all those festivals?
What's the highlight? One highlight I'll always remember is the Fury Brothers. The Fury Brothers, we had a cancellation in January. Most of the bands were organised in January, and you wouldn't get a top band after that because they had their whole year mapped out. But I was got a call from one of the agents who said, "Sorry, we won't be able to do that. We'll be in America or somewhere." And I said, "Who am I going to get?" I was driving along in the car, and the Fury Brothers came on. Says, "It would be great if we got those here." And I found a way of getting to their agent. No problem. Fury, and the biggest crowd I ever seen, and people cheered them on and wanted more. And that was probably a great achievement, I thought. And by luck we all got that. The other occasion outside of the band, I found a number of negative photographs from a photographer from town, Marty Fleming. Marty Fleming was the top photographer in town, weddings, communions, confirmations and other events. And walking in his daughter's house in the attic, we found all these negatives. And I asked Marty's daughter, could we look through them? Now you could look through thousands of them. And I said it would be great if we got an exhibition of them. So we got the whole Derby Festival committee together in a hall, and without modern equipment we were looking up at the lights. This might do, this might do. We got a fantastic exhibition out. And since that, the historical committee in town have taken over that and gone further with them. So you might see some of those photos blown up. Marty was a great horseman too, and he was a great friend of Mick Connolly. And so he photos of Mick Connolly's staff and stables a lot, and lots of presentation of horses in the corridor that Marty had done as well. So that was an achievement in the festival a few years ago. So there were probably there's loads of stories of things that didn't work out.
Go on, give us something that didn't work out. Yeah.
I suppose the year we said we try and make a few bob instead of having a free concert. We won't go too hard. We got 300 or 400 in at the tenner ahead. Same night that we done it, there was a match on telly. I think it was England against Portugal. It went to extra time. 4 people arrived into 4 people is all we got, and 3 of them were committee.
Ollie, obviously so much work and so much planning goes in behind the scenes to obviously organise something like a festival.
A whole year's work, yeah. You don't want something to. You have to start organising in the winter, hoping that you won't have fine weather and summer weather. It doesn't always work. There was another year when Shannon actually was our guest on the stage over here, and then again it spilled rain. People all ran for cover. Poor girl was playing the accordion on her own over there, and she had to give it up as well. No one looking at her.
Of course, of course. Well, Ollie, there's been some wonderful memories. Great to have a catch up with you. And as I say, you've been involved with the Derby Festival in Kildare town since its infancy back in the 78, right up until the present day, and hopefully we're going to have many more successful Derby festivals.
Hopefully so, yeah.
Ollie, thank you.
And thank you.